It's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. The clock is winding down, you're down 1 point, and you need a bucket from your point guard or else you lose the game. Do you win? Or does your point guard pass the ball to an open shooter, hoping to give up the responsibility to someone better equipped to take the shot? What's up, basketball world? It's Just S, and today we want to talk about the NBA's best point guards, specifically the point guards that want to put the ball through the hoop themselves. I'm talking score first. By definition, a score first point guard is a point guard that would rather shoot the ball than pass it. Simple as that. That doesn't mean that they didn't pass the ball. A lot of the players on our list actually pass the ball a lot, but it just means that if they're faced with passing or scoring, they're going to have their priority on scoring the ball first. As always, guys, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button, ding, 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 for more Lingo sports content. We've got you on that. The score-first point guard is something that has grown in popularity in the past 30 years. With the change of pace in the NBA, the ball is predominantly on the perimeter in the hands of a guard that can create offense. I mean, it's even rubbed off on big men who know better than ever how to handle themselves on the perimeter now. Essentially, the role of a point guard has changed. They've become a lot more athletic, they've learned how to shoot a lot more, and because of that, most of the point guards that we have in today's NBA are a lot more offensive-minded. With that being said, here is our criteria. We are assessing our players through the regular season, seeing how many scoring titles they've won and if they did so efficiently. That was worth 25% of their overall mark. We took a look at the playoffs and if those numbers were better, worse, or the same as the regular season, because the playoffs indicate who can do it with the best of the best. That is worth 35% of their overall mark. We also looked at how their scoring translated to winning. Now, translation to winning is tough to assess because just because one player has more rings than the other doesn't mean that they were the specific reason that their team won. We look at how, if they score points, does that increase the chances of their team winning? We only made that worth 20%. The last two categories are skills and longevity, both worth 10% each. Skills show us what you have in your bag: step backs, crossovers, teardrops. What do you have in your bag of tricks that could easily fool a defender and get you a bucket? Longevity. If you explode into the NBA averaging 30 points a night only to disappear after your rookie season, then you can't be on the list. And last but not least, you have to be a point guard. We use these categories, rank the players from 1 to 15, average it out on a percentage, and then weight it depending on the category. Honorable mention time. Our 5 honorable mentions are Uncle Drew, aka Kyrie Irving, Gilbert Agent Zero Arenas, Cavaliers legend Mark Price, D Rose, and Tim Hardaway Sr. Look, I know, there's probably a bunch of diehard fans right now screaming at their screen saying, "Bro, you know Gilbert Arenas, he averaged 30 points a season." Yes I do. Let me explain what hurt each player. For Kyrie Irving, despite having arguably some of the best skills for a score-first point guard I've ever seen, his injuries hurt his overall longevity score. The same thing happened for Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert was never terribly efficient, and his scoring numbers fell off a cliff after signing a 6-year, $111 million contract with the Wizards. Wizards fans, you can thank Ernie Grunfeld for that one. Mark Price and Tim Hardaway Sr. also just didn't score for long enough. Price never had a season where he averaged more than 20 points, but he did become an absolute star in the playoffs. As for Hardaway, his efficiency dropped by nearly 5% in the playoffs, which hurt his playoff mark. If D Rose hadn't suffered multiple knee surgeries and have to deal with the rehabilitation process, he would have arguably been a top 5 player on this list. But that hurt his score in terms of longevity drastically. Although even past the injuries, you could argue he still hasn't lost his scoring touch, averaging over 18 points per game with the Pistons this season. Alright, now to our top 10. At number 10, Gary Payton. I'm sure you're asking yourself right now, Gary Payton? The glove? But isn't his thing defense? Just because he's known for his defense doesn't mean he wasn't a walking bucket either. GP averaged over 20 points in 7 of his 18 seasons in the NBA and ranks 33rd overall in the all-time scoring list with over 21,000 points, just ahead of Larry Bird and right behind Kevin Durant. The glove scoring ability was also integral to helping his team win. In the 1996 NBA playoffs, he, along with Sean Kemp and Detlef Schrempf, led the Sonics to a Western Conference best 64 wins and a trip to the NBA Finals where they had to face Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. He probably picked the wrong season to play out of his mind because that season, the Bulls won 72 games. Despite losing in the finals, the glove kept dropping buckets, being the only point guard in the top 20 in NBA scoring for 3 years in a row until Allen Iverson came into the picture. Gary Payton was such a good scorer that in his Hall of Fame ceremony, legend Gail Goodrich called him the NBA's reigning high scorer for point guard. Listen, don't listen to me, listen to Gail. At number 9, the Frenchman, Tony Parker. In Greg Popovich's offense, it's tough to designate any player as score first because the ideal situation for Pop is to find the most efficient or the best shot possible on offense. But Tony Parker is as close you could get as score first in that situation. And boy did he thrive. In the early stages of his career, he helped take the scoring load off Tim Duncan, and in the 2007 NBA Finals had his breakout moment.
Parker, so quick down the... Oh, what a shot from Parker! Parker, another pretty move and finish. Sensational play from Tony Parker. Tony Parker again, going 1-on-3. Parker has been all that tonight.
Parker averaged 24.5 points and 5 assists and won his one and only NBA Finals MVP that year. As his career progressed and Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili entered the twilight stages of their career, Tony Parker became the #1 option. In the 2012-2013 season, Parker was 6th in MVP voting, having one of the best years of his career. He averaged 20 points a night and did so while only playing 31 minutes a night. His arsenal was elite. At one point, he led all guards in the NBA in points in the paint. Even with such a small frame, he found a way to get to the basket, use his signature teardrop as the finisher. Parker's finishing ability is some of the best we have ever seen from a point guard in the NBA. And to even add to that, he shot a shot with Eva Longoria. The dude doesn't miss. At number 8, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard was selected 6th overall in the 2012 NBA draft, but I'm pretty sure 3 of those teams are really regretting their decisions. Charlotte, Sacramento, Cleveland. Dame bursted into the scene as a rookie, absolutely mesmerizing Portland fans with his flashy moves and unlimited range. He averaged 19 points in his rookie year, the first rookie point guard to do that since Allen Iverson. For that, he became the 4th rookie in league history to win unanimous Rookie of the Year. That was 2012. It's 2020, and the Mayans predicted the calendar wrong, and Damian Lillard is still very good at basketball. This season, Dame is averaging a career-high 28 points per game and is doing something only 3 other guards in NBA history have done, averaging more than 28 points a game in the regular season while also having a true shooting percentage of greater than 60%. Dame's scoring has been the backbone of successful seasons for the Blazers, and they haven't missed the playoffs since 2014. He even led them to the Western Conference Finals last season, the first time the Blazers have gone that far since the year 2000. Look, when I first started making this list, I thought it might be a little bit too early to put Dame Dollar in there. Well, I was wrong. He's been dropping buckets and doing so in the clutch. So, because I was wrong, let's run the highlight reel.
9/10 left. A 3 wins the series. It's Lillard. He got the shot off. Lillard, good! Good! And the Blazers win the series for the first time in 14 years! Of course, it's being reviewed because it goes in at 0-0, but it's out, it's over, and the Portland Trail Blazers, in shocking fashion.
Lillard picked up by Ingram. Lillard, this is for the win! .7.
A chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long-range 3, and it's good! At the buzzer! Damian Lillard! Are you kidding me?
At number 7, Zeke, Isaiah Thomas. For all the boomers watching right now, Zeke would have definitely been higher on the list, but his longevity hurt him. He only played 11 seasons in the NBA and had to retire because of an Achilles injury. But before that, Zeke was an absolutely prolific scorer and the leader of the bad boys era of basketball. He scored 20 points 5 out of his 11 seasons he played in the NBA and was known for his resiliency, taking contact and finishing at the rim even despite being injured. In 1988 in the NBA Finals against the Lakers, he took that to another level.
Isaiah Thomas is hurt down on the court underneath the basket. I couldn't tell what happened.
And this is a tough one. Holding his right ankle, Billy. It's been the Isaiah Thomas show, plus an injury to Thomas here in the third. Thomas off balance, basket counts and a foul as he goes into the first row, and he is still limping. He is a game performer. He's got to be hurting and limping, and he continues to put the points on the board for Detroit. Isaiah Thomas has put on a brilliant exhibition of shooting despite an ankle injury.
Despite losing in the finals that year, Isaiah led the Pistons to back-to-back championships in 89 and 90, and he was the #1 force in those matchups. At number 6, why not? Russel Westbrook. This one is pretty much self-explanatory. Do I really have to explain myself? Westbrook is probably one of the most, if not the most, explosive point guard we have ever seen in NBA history, and becoming a genuine human highlight reel. A lot of Westbrook's criticism comes from his recent inefficiency from behind the arc and his high rate of turnovers, as well as his constant need to pad stats. Well, I have an argument for those things. At least one of them. His inefficiency from behind the arc and turnover rate really stopped Westbrook from cracking the top 5, but overall, he is a monster scorer. With Kevin Durant, he formed one of the most unstoppable duos in NBA history, and later on by himself became an MVP caliber player. In 2017, he silenced the competition, winning the league scoring title, averaging over 31 points a game and averaging a triple-double for an entire season. The first time someone has done that since the 1960s, by the way. He was awarded the league's MVP award for doing so. Hate him or love him, you cannot deny that Westbrook is one of the most lethal scoring point guards to ever play the game. Alright, down to our top 5. These 5 players are the greatest score-first point guards in NBA history. They have the entire package, and that is why they are so great. At number 5, the answer, Allen Iverson. We have a lot of offensive-minded point guards in the NBA right now, right? Damian Lillard, Russel Westbrook, Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry, James Harden, and it's because the league has enabled them to do so because of how it's changed. Why has it changed? Allen Iverson. Iverson is the prototype score-first point guard. His mid-range game was impeccable. He could attack off the dribble and was fast as lightning. In 2001, he had one of the greatest scoring seasons in NBA history, averaging 31 points and winning the scoring title. And that wasn't even the first time he had done it. That same season, he won the league's MVP award and led a lackluster Philadelphia 76ers team to the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers. AI never went on to win a ring, but his consistency is freaking wild. He only averaged less than 22 points in the last 2 seasons of his career, not to mention the fact that Iverson left everything on the floor. He averaged over 40 minutes per game in 11 of his first 12 seasons, and he led the league in minutes per game 7 times. Was it his fault that he left it all on the court for mediocre Sixers teams? Maybe, but through and through, Iverson is one of the most consistent scorers in NBA history. At number 4, the Big O, Oscar Robertson. Remember when I said Russel Westbrook was the first guy to average a triple-double since the 1960s? Yeah, this is the other guy. The conversation about great scoring point guards really begin with Oscar Robertson. The Big O could do it all on the basketball court, averaging a triple-double in 1961-62 and putting in 30-plus points per night in 6 of his first 7 seasons in the league. While he played in an era where defense basically didn't exist, that doesn't change the fact that Robinson's unique blend of size, he was 6'5", and athleticism made him virtually unguardable even if opponents were actually trying on defense. He made 12 All-Star teams and won an MVP award over the course of his 14 years in the NBA, so obviously he was doing something right. At number 3, the logo, Jerry West. The NBA still, to this day, does not pay this man. Pay him. West is one of the greatest scorers in NBA history from any position, but the fact that he was so proficient while also running point makes his incredible career that much more impressive. In just his 2nd season in the league, West helped make up for the absence of Elgin Baylor, who was called up by his Army Reserve unit. Yeah, that's how old this is. And scored 30 points a game, helping the Lakers reach the NBA Finals and pushing the Celtics to 7 games. He exceeded 30 points per game 3 more times in his career, while also increasing his assists per game every season until his retirement, cementing his legacy as one of the best to ever play. He was so good that in the 1969 NBA Finals, he won Finals MVP despite the Lakers losing the series. I can already imagine the comment section in this video. Yo, but Jerry West and big Oscar Robertson, they played in the 60s and 70s with plumbers and garbage men, bro. Spencer Dinwiddie would dust them. Is it their fault that they played 50 years too early? Respect them for who they are and respect what they have done, because without them, there would be no Spencer Dinwiddie. Shout out to Spencer, by the way. At number 2, the beard, James Harden. Listen, I know basketball references James Harden as a shooting guard for a majority of his career, but I'm going to make a suggestion here. James Harden was always a point guard.
Please.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Okay, let me prove my point. In Houston, Mike D'Antoni said that James is the point guard of the future. Unless he meant to say shooting guard, he's clearly got a point. But Basketball Reference already had him listed as a point guard in 2 of his seasons in Houston, so I'll go even further. Even when he was on Oklahoma City, coming off the bench as a dominant 6-man for the Thunder, he was the point guard. Not Gennaro Pargo, but Harden. He would slice through opposing benches like butter and made it seem all too easy. He was the main facilitator off the bench too, so hence point guard. Like Allen Iverson, having James Harden listed as a shooting guard is merely only formality. Their true forms, their most dominant forms, have always been at the point guard position. Harden has won the scoring title for the past 3 seasons. Last year, he finished averaging 36 points a game, the most any guard has averaged ever, and has also had some of the most efficient seasons ever. Remember when I said Damian Lillard was one of 4 players to average 28 points a game and have a true shooting percentage of greater than 60%? Yeah, Damian Lillard did that once. James Harden has done that 4 times. And when it's all said and done, Harden's got the step back, the crossover, and the complete arsenal in his game. All right, it's time for the greatest score-first point guard in NBA history. The difference between Harden and this player was that when this player stepped up to the plate to win, he did. And he won in bunches. At number 1, Chef Curry with the pop, boy, Steph Curry. Steph Curry has been the most consistent.
Ahead to Curry. Curry sets, fires, puts it up. Bang! Steph Curry from way downtown.
The most dominant.
Dribble move, watch this one. Double behind your back, knock it down, and the bench is loving it.
The most dangerous.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
And the most revolutionary point guard in NBA history. He is the one and only unanimous MVP in the NBA. He also had the most efficient season, shooting a true shooting percentage of 66% and averaging over 30 points. And if we're talking about winning, Steph has done it all. He led the Warriors to 73 wins, the most in NBA history. He has 2 MVPs under his belt and 3 NBA championships in the span of 5 years. Curry defined a generation of basketball, whether you like it or not. When people are in the gym shooting jump shots, they think they're Steph Curry now. Since Curry has been in the league, we have seen numerous teams try to replicate the Warriors' playing style and fail. Why? Because none of them have Steph. He beat the single season record for most 3-pointers and then went to beat his own record the year after. He's already 3rd all-time in the 3-pointers made list, and he's only in his 11th season. Steph isn't only making a case for being one of the greatest guards to play the game, but he's also making a case for being one of the greatest players of all time. I'm sure you realize there is a lot of iconic point guards missing from this list. Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Jason Kidd, John Stockton, and even Magic Johnson, but those guys had a more selfless purpose. The guys that we just talked about on the list, they showed that them being selfish was probably the best decision on a basketball court. Let us know if you agree or if you disagree. Regardless, I know I'm right. We'll see you next time for the top 10. Take care. For more videos like this, subscribe to Lingo Sports and check out our NBA playlist. We've got you on that.